Welcome to the 200 Movie Challenge. If you're hearing this for the first time, we're trying to watch 200 movies that we have not seen this year. And this is episode 40. Now, because
Ooh,
I know we're further than weeks. We had to take some weeks off. Some things happened. But technically, this is the 40th episode. Um, After today,
damn.
Soto, when this episode's said and done, we only have 12 more movies to go.
Wonderful. That
We
is
started this
absolutely wonderful.
we started this project on January 1st. And yeah,
Yeah,
it's been a
literally.
fun journey. Um, I say fun, not all the movies have been fun. And, I feel like,
No,
we've
no.
been pressured to watch some. But I think once we do a recap, we'll kind of go more into details. But, yeah, 5 movies. I got 3. You got 2 today. And, we're just going to kind of hop right in. But, Soto, I kind of need you to start things off for my first movie. Because something we talked about last week is one last time suggesting movies for each other to watch. And
Yes, that's right.
and you gave me this, you gave a movie, and I realized, or you said something like you hadn't seen this. So I was
No,
curious.
no.
So tell me, what you chose and why, and then I'll get into it for a little bit. But yeah, I need to know why you picked this movie for me to watch.
I've been thinking about watching it for a while now. I just haven't gotten around to it. Also, I have a black cat. And so every time I see it on HBO Max, I'm always like kind of like want to pull the trigger, but I just haven't been able to or circumstances. So, when it came down to it, I was like, oh, Chad will tell me how this movie is. We have both the same similar taste, so and I've heard good things. It was like nominated for some shit, and it looked cool. So I figured, fuck it.
And it does. It did look cool. It's definitely a different animated style. And you're right. It actually won the best animated picture, I think in 2023 or
Oh
2024.
shit!
So not just because it beat Inside Out too. There's only like 3 or 4 animated films. So I want to say 2023, but that people got to realize this is coming out of COVID. And I say that because it takes a few years to do animated movies. So I think that's why there wasn't a lot coming out animated wise during this time. But yes, it did win at the Academy Award for Best Animated Film. So yeah, it was up. And yeah, so the movie came out, I think officially was 2024. I don't have that right in front of me at the moment. Yeah, 2024. So it had to win the 2024 Best Animated Feature. But yeah, it's a movie called Flow. And you're right, it has a black cat right there on the cover. And it was on HBO Max. And I think it was like a Saturday morning. I just plopped it in, ready to go. Maybe it was Sunday morning. I forget which morning it was.
Yeah.
But Soto, before I really get into it, I have to say this is now the third movie I can think of that has no dialogue in it. I don't know if you
I
so so mind you,
knew that.
I knew nothing going in outside of seeing the black cat kind of on the cover. But yes, I saw Wings, the very first picture ever win Best Picture. That was a silent film, so it had like the title cards here and there. I did see this movie just recently, 3 Day Weekend, which did have words, but basically no dialogue between characters. So it was a very so yes, this movie
Wow.
stars a cat, and we're going to get into the other animals. Hard part about this is I don't really know. You don't need to really know. There's no set time frame. There's no place. You don't know where this takes place. You're just
Mhm.
kind of in this forest area. I am led to believe that humans are gone. Now,
Oh,
there
like
is no
Stray.
yeah, I would say that. Now, I don't know. There's no explanation because this cat, you kind of see him in a house. You know that humans have been there one time because there's a house. Someone was sculpting like all these cats. There's statues, and so it was. So I don't know. Maybe they knew what was about to come and left, but I feel like for some reason, but it's
Oh,
no explanation to why there's no humans in this movie. So whether or not they
interesting.
just left the area or again, you can believe what you want because you can look at this film so many different ways, Soto, as far as like religious aspects to it or just the way I took
Really
about it. It's something you can. And I don't want to get into it too much because there's a lot to this, but to me, I took away more of the fact that, and it made me realize this, not that it would get us kids, how shitty humans kind of are. And
Oh, dude,
I'm
for
not
sure.
going to because the whole idea of this is so I'll kind of give you the beginning premise. I don't know how much you know about Flow, but for the
I
people,
don't know.
the two or three people who might start at the beginning, basically, yeah. So you follow this black cat, and he's just living his best life. He's in the middle of the forest. He's just whatever, enjoying sun, taking a nap, whatever. It kind of starts off. These few dogs are chasing him. He's stealing the fish. So there's nothing going on, and then all of a sudden he sees all these deer run towards him and he's scared, and he doesn't know doesn't know what's going on. Blah blah. He's alone. There is no other cats. I mean, there could be other cats in this world, just he's the only cat. So he doesn't know what's going on. Then all of a sudden, the water, there's this big wave, and then the water just keeps rising. So it's basically it's not going to stop. It's going to engulf all of the land, and
Wow.
so yeah, it goes back to its home, and it gets followed by one of the like a Labrador, a yellow lab, and who's kind of like being the dumb dog and stuff like that. And his dog buddies kind of come by in a boat, just happens to find a canoe, and they're all floating there. And the lab's trying to motion the cat to come with them, but the cat obviously in a boat with five dogs is like, no, no, I'm good, I'm good. And
Hmm.
so basically, it's trying to climb to the highest point, and it gets to a point where the water is now kind of gone. It gets flung into somewhere, and miraculously, at the last second, this other boat kind of comes by, and he swims towards it, gets on it, and it's the chillest capybara ever. Just looks at him and looks at the cat, and he's just like, "Hey, you want to get on this boat?" And yep, whatever. So they're kind of floating along, and yeah, then basically it's basically now the water is still kind of rising, and it's basically a hodgepodge of animals. They do find this lemur who's trying to like store all these knickknacks that it's found, and it's trying to bring it on the boat, and the capybara just gets out and just kind of just pushes the lemur who's got one basket, like, hey, if you want to get on, get on. And so why I say the humans are shitty, because you're looking at basically different species, different animals, different philosophies, if you kind of look at it that way. They have to kind of work together, figure out what's going on, because this is now survival. They don't. No one knows
Hmm.
why this fucking water rose up, but it's also at first, very beautiful, just the way the animals interact. Because the cat's trying to catch a fish, and he's losing the boat, and there's this huge giant whale, and this whale kind of just goes to the surface, and the cat's on top of it, and this secretary bird comes by, picks him up, basically brings him back to the boat, and so it's hard for me to say what more it's about, but it's just basically how they're almost like, for lack of better terms, I don't want to say like a One Piece gang, but they're just a bunch of misfits who kind of cut together as a new family. And that yellow lab kind of returns. He's just there, but they're all just on this boat. And the cat realizes he needs to do something, because like this bird can kind of weirdly enough steer the boat, and he wants to help. So the cat gets fish for like everyone on the boat and gives it to everyone and stuff like that. It's a very, I don't want to say peaceful moment, because Soto, there is some very disturbing moments at kind of, this is PG, and my wife at times was like, God, I hate this movie. I did watch it with her. I love it because the bird that rescued the cat, I'm going to kind of spoil something a little here. They find this island. They're trying to gather whatever they can. And it's the whole family of these secretary birds. And that bird that's rescued him in the first puts a fish in front of the cat, and you kind of see what's basically the lead bird come by, look at it, look at the fish, look at the bird, and gives the fish to like the children birds. Like, what the fuck are you doing giving our food to a cat? And
Hmm.
then the cat's trying to, find a way to escape, and all the birds are now surrounding it. And the bird that saved it's kind of put himself as like, no, this cat's cool, just leave it alone. And basically tries to fight for, like leadership, loses, and the leader bird basically breaks the wings of this bird, and so you have a
Oh
fight with
God.
this bird. So it is horrifying that. So, and obviously now the cat feels guilty, because it's like it was just being a fucking cat, and this bird's trying to
Yeah.
protect it. So it's weird, but it is a way, just again, how they all had to come together. Um, Jill wasn't a fan of the animated style, because it looks a little old fashioned. I don't mind it as much. But
Hmm.
at the end, without spoiling too much, because I don't want to get into spoilers. Obviously, there is a resolution to it. Obviously, they don't explain what happened in this. We've talked about some movies needing a little extra explanation of why things happen, and some movies don't. This doesn't. This isn't about
Mhm.
what the events going on. These are just about these animals' journeys and what they, you know, what they had to go through and how they evolved from what they were to what they are now. Because even like the yellow lab, he had all his dog's friends, but he loves this new group. He realizes this is a nice group, and he stays even though all the kind of the dogs leave him. He stays because he's trying to rescue basically this other group. He's like, hey, these are my new friends now. So I can't explain it more than that. It's basically just a bunch of misfit animals in a way, just different stories. But it's just so weird because, yes, no dialogue, no narration, no nothing, but you feel, weirdly enough, what each of these animals are feeling. And yes,
Right.
you can, there are parts where you can say are very religious if you want to take it that way. You can just say just the way society is when society becomes post apocalyptic, what's gonna happen. And just
Yep.
you're like, you gotta, you can look at your enemy, just like the cat's looking at the dog, and they were like, we're in the same shit, let's just get through this, we can work together. And that's why you just say humans are shitty. Like, I mean, I know not all of us are, but for the most part, just look at our country. I'm
Yes.
sorry, no matter what, it's split. No, the littlest things set people off. And you're just like, yeah, no, there's probably a reason why there's no humans in this world. So yes, there's something very simplistic about it, something very deep about it, and I do actually suggest anyone to watch this once. I don't know if I'd really go back and watch this again. It fulfilled my needs. It's not, what I'm saying. It's not like you're gonna get something from a second watch. If
Mhm.
me and you were hanging out and you want to, I would watch it, but it's not like I'm gonna go seek this. But yeah, there's a lot of undertone to this, which friggin' works. And yes, I know you are a cat lover, and there are some scenes, obviously, because it's in a lot of water, where the cat is trying to fish or falls off the boat. Just like, I'm like, don't worry, it's PG, nothing's gonna bad happen. Which we know some things could bad and I'm like, but yeah, so don't get me wrong. If you're an animal lover, you're gonna love some parts of it. There's some parts that you're not gonna like, but I think that's what tells you know the overall story to this. So
Mhm.
and that's it. There's not much more to it. It's basically, like I said, it's basically what the cat, the dog, the capybara, the bird, and the lemur, just all on about not knowing what's going on, all just have their own reasons for being there and what, their ways of life. They have none of their usual family. um
Mhm.
and yeah, so they're just on this boat together, just like, this is it, we're just going to go wherever this takes us. So yeah, I don't. There's not much more, but this is definitely a very good movie. I would say maybe next year. If you want to check this out, you can definitely check this out. Um,
Oh, nice.
it's yeah, I definitely, like I said, it was definitely a good movie. One of the better movies I've seen all year. I mean that's if you look at the
Wow.
bottom half of my list, that's not
Yeah.
saying much. But like I said, I mean, I'm not mad that I saw this movie. It wasn't like, what the fuck am I watching? But you have to be in a certain mindset. But yeah, you can come into it and just, we've talked about not being religious people. A lot of people can look at it, certain scenes like that. But you take for what it is. So yeah, the fact that there's no dialogue, no narration, none of that, I was like, all right, but it was fine. I never felt it was needed in this. You felt every emotion, every animal, portrayed. Whether it was scared, whether it was happy, or just buddy buddy, or just whether it's loss or something like that, or it all worked. So I will say this is a top 20 movie for me.
Wow.
100%.
Okay.
I
A year.
I think at this moment I'm gonna put it at number 16. I'm gonna put this right.
Not bad.
This is a weird soda, but yeah, this is gonna go underneath weapons and above Megan. You start looking at pairings.
What a strange. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it
quite
was
a.
just,
Yeah.
but it was just, I can't. There was nothing I didn't like about this movie. Like, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna go out and love it. I don't buy physical media anymore. I think,
Mhm.
like I said, I enjoyed what it was for. I don't need to go back and see it, but that doesn't mean I didn't hate it. Some movies
Yeah.
you don't need to see it twice, but if it's on, and I'll watch it again. But I'm not. Yeah. So yeah, 16 seems like a good spot for me right now. So good
Well,
suggestion. Like I
there.
said, I mean, whether or not you watch it this year, but you definitely check it out. You're a cat lover. You'll be fine, and I'll leave it at that. I mean, you'll be fine. Don't worry. There'll be some parts you might be, biting your nails, like, come on, cat. But it's there for a reason. So But yeah, again, I just see a cat floating in water. I'm just like, what the fuck is this movie about? Not knowing anything. And then I had to look it up, and that's when I saw one like best animated features. I'm like, okay, so there's a lot of hype to this. So, oh,
Oh yeah, I heard nothing. I heard a lot about it. I just have never had a chance to sit down and actually just hit play.
yeah.
So,
And I did for you. I did. So yeah, no,
glad it didn't suck.
it was good, and I definitely recommend it to anyone who wants to see it. Like, it's not your typical. I mean, it's fine for children, I would say, but like I said, it's not your typical Americanized cartoon because I don't even think. I forgot. I would have to look this back up because I don't think this was made in America. I think this is made. It's a foreign film technically. I mean, I say foreign film
Oh,
again. There's no language, but I don't think it was made here. I could be wrong, and I'm trying to find out real quick before we move on. Yeah, it's made by Jacques Tati. Damn, it doesn't say. I'm trying to look for it real quick. First, Latvia. Latvia. Am I saying that right? Latvia.
oh,
Yeah.
wow,
So
really?
it is the first film, and I'm reading this now, first
You're in
film
Europe.
from Latvia to receive a nomination and win an Academy Award as well. It also was, it won the Golden Globe Award for Best Animated Film. So yeah, so it's not American. So, but this doesn't matter what, there is no language. So it doesn't matter where you watch this in the world. You're going to understand what the story is. And I think that makes it I don't say it makes it a perfect movie. It makes it what it set out to do. It doesn't matter what nationality you are, you can watch this film and you're going to understand and hopefully enjoy it. So
Very cool.
it is. It was. All right. Well, that was Flo. Let's get to
Cool.
your first movie, which I saw star. I didn't even realize who starred in this, and now I'm like, yeah, you've seen a few movies from him. I think that there may at least one other. I could be wrong, maybe two. I don't know where you're at with him, but anyhow, what was the first movie you saw this week, Soto?
Are you talking about Robert Zemeckis, or are you talking about like the director? Or are you talking about
The
Tom
star,
Hanks,
Tom
Robin
Hanks.
Wright?
I'm talking about Tom
Oh
Hanks.
yeah. Oh, this year? Yeah, it's been a Tom Hanks year. 100%. So you and I, uh, obviously very familiar with Robert Zemeckis' work.
Yep.
We have watched a lot of Back to the Future.
Yep.
I have watched, I'm sure you have as well, Forrest Gump many
Of course.
times. So this is Robert Zemeckis' kind of new, well, this is his newest film, and it stars, Jenny and Forrest from Forrest Gump, Tom Hanks and Robin Wright, and it's interesting. The movie is called Here, okay, and I want you to understand that it's the very definition of that word because literally this movie takes place in one shot, except for the end.
Whoa. Okay. Interesting.
Okay, it takes place in one shot in one house. Okay, the entirety of that house being alive, like it takes place in that one shot. So it's like a shot of like a window, and it's like kind of off to the side, but life happens in this house. But it doesn't just happen in the house. Okay, it happens in that space since the beginning of the creation of the earth. So like where
All
you're at
right.
right
Yeah.
now,
I
like
see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay.
where you're at right now, what did it look like a billion years ago? Right? Where you currently are standing
A speck of
or
dirt,
sitting.
maybe.
There were dinosaurs kicking around, all that stuff. And it goes through all of that. It literally examines the entire history of a place. The people that lived in, that people that walked it over that land, the house that was built on that land, the house across the street, everything that happened in that place gets examined. It's done as interesting as it could be done, right? Because you're thinking about the concept and you're like, okay, well, how do you keep that fresh? Um, it's done in a very interesting way. Lots of like in shot boxes, kind of showing different times of when quote unquote here was happening. And it does like a really good job through editing of showing the future versus what's going on, versus what happened with like two indigenous people who were there, like who just happened to be on that plot of land and what that looked like, including like Benjamin Franklin. A bunch of shit happened on this land, but it goes through there. But mainly, it keeps coming back to the emotional core of Tom Hanks and Robin Wright's relationship in the context of the entire time frame of the universe. So it just goes in and talks. It just shows little scenes, and it shows scenes of life all the way until they're old people, and back and forth, younger, and it goes through just all the life things that happen in this place to all these different families, and it's done in a very great. I thought in a very good way, but the only issue is that I thought it was a little bit heavy-handed because this is like obviously a very emotional type movie. And so in it, you kind of see the end before you see like any of the middle stuff. So that's kind of like how the structure is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I thought it was interesting for what it was. Again, I thought it was kind of, look, I'm not going to say cringe because that's like the bad word for it, but it's like a little bit overly emotional. I get it. Right. But I knew what they were going for. It's like I knew they were trying to pull on the heartstrings. Sarah was a mess. That's fine. This really resonated her, especially since it has underlying tones of dementia. And if you've had, dementia in your life and you've struggled with, or somebody that has struggled with it, like that can be that's a real crazy thing. And but again, thought it was well done. Is better than I thought it was going to be. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again. I liked how the ending happened too. It kind of brought everything together. If you can imagine that. But yeah, it was a decent little movie. Again, I don't think Robert Zemeckis is ever going to come reach the heights of Back to the Future or Forrest Gump. But I thought this was an okay movie. It's definitely a tearjerker. So if you don't like movies that kind of like tug on those emotional heartstrings, like this might not be for you. But overall, it was a somewhat pleasurable experience.
Yeah, and I only knew the actors because I was just literally earlier today was collecting like the pictures and thumbnails, blah blah blah, getting them ready just so I don't have to worry about it later. And then I'm like, oh, this has Tom
Yep.
Hanks. So I was like,
Yes.
oh, okay.
And Jenny.
I didn't even know that. I wasn't fully paying attention because I don't fully look into the films you do sometimes, but I kind of get things ready. But yeah, I was like,
Mhm.
oh, Tom Hanks, because again we've talked about it a few times. Like I love Tom Hanks, you love Tom Hanks, so.
I
But
do.
yeah, Robert Zemeckis. I mean, I could be just the way movies are nowadays. It's hard to make those kind of, I guess, blockbusters like he used to. But yeah, no, he definitely can make good films. But it's just
Cool
weird now.
idea.
I kind of part of me wants to see this now, just because you caught me with just the weird thing that it just stays in one place from the beginning to time,
Yes.
and I'm just like, all right, I
Yes.
don't know if I can watch
Yes.
this whole movie. I'm like, but I kind of just, I'm curious. I am curious.
But that
So
was interesting because I didn't I all of a sudden I didn't know why I was looking at dinosaurs. But then I was like, oh, here. It literally is like this is what this place has looked like since the beginning of time. We're gonna go through it. I'm like, okay, all right, like, and you see like the whole like meteor hitting the Earth from the perspective of the house, and then like the way that we go through the ice age and everything. I mean, literally, all that shit was going on.
but really, the question that we keep asking ourselves as you hit,
Oh
I think you're
no.
what, your 93rd movie? Is that where we're at now?
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
where are you putting here?
Man, this one is a tough one. Because I kind of have a zone. Yeah, no, I definitely have a zone of where this would probably land as far as because I have to understand too. Like, will I ever see this again? I don't know. It was a cool concept. I give him kudos for that. Um, but I would have to say right now I would probably put it at 49.
All right, a little bit down there. So right under companion and above the founder. Is that where we're?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's where here feels
it's
right
right here, right there.
because it's right in the middle. It's here. It's right here. It's a middle of the road movie for me. Again, I appreciate it. I always appreciate Tom Hanks. I appreciated what Robert Zemeckis was trying to do. It was cute. and it did work. Um, again, I just found some of the emotional stuff a little bit heavy handed, but that's my personal taste.
Okay. I mean, there's nothing. Something, I guess it depends on what mood you're in. Emotional can be powerful, and like you said, it can be cringe as well, depending on people's take or what they're going through
I
at
mean,
that
look,
time.
I would say cringe like it was cheesy, like it's just that it was a very emotional film, and honestly, I'm not usually in the mood for like incredibly like emotional films like that. That's just me.
Okay. Well, let me tell you about the second movie I saw. And as usual, I had no idea. I had no plan. Because obviously you suggested Flow. So I went to Flow, watched that. But the second one, I'm like, I don't know what I'm in the mood for watch. And I think I was scrolling through all our usual streaming services. And I kept coming back to this one on Netflix. And I saw it last week too. Just like so it was on the back of my mind. And I'm going to tell you this, Soto. This review is going to be very vague only because
Okay.
I think you should see this. I saw the
Oh,
2019 movie Brightburn.
oh
Now,
yeah, that's right.
and I kind of forgot about this movie. Do you remember what it's about, or like do you remember the trailers that when it came out, like even the
No,
taglines? Do you remember any of that? Um,
nope.
Basically,
I've seen the cover many times, but I have
correct.
no idea what it's about.
So real quick, as far as so again, I'm gonna say a lot of this review, but without spoiling a lot. But basically, the tagline is, "What if Superman came to Earth, but he was evil?" So this
Okay.
movie, before I get into it, stars Elizabeth Banks, but it's also produced by James Gunn, and it was written by two of his brothers.
Oh,
I mean, we're both James Gunn's fans. We've talked about him, Timeless, Guardians of the Galaxy, blah blah blah. I think you saw a movie earlier by him, if I remember correctly. I mean, it's hard to go through the 100 list, but either way. So yes, you start off with this couple, and basically they're getting in the mood, and you kind of see all the books, around like fertility and stuff like that. So you kind of already know they're having trouble having a child. And during one night before they basically get it on, they see the house just violently starts shaking, and they see this red thing coming down and just somewhere in the middle of the woods, and just this glow, and they go to check it out. They're like, you're like, what's going on? They do what basically the joke is they do what white people do. Let's go to the trouble. No, so then it, yeah, it's like, no, don't call the cops. Let's go investigate this ourselves. But they kept it very vague, and there's a lot of reasons, and I'm not going to get into it. So they don't show much because it really right after they leave the house, it says 10 years later, and you see
oh,
now correct. So you kind of already know if you knew the trailers, that they found this kid, and yeah, so it's their son's Brandon's 12th birthday, and
mhm.
celebrating stuff like that. Nothing is out of the ordinary now yet, but basically, as what I'm going to assume is as he's becoming in puberty, he is figuring out that he has these powers, like his dad, and
Mhm.
he's a nice kid. He talks to everyone. He's a little of an, I would say, a nerd, just kind of maybe more of an outcast at school. He just knows a lot. He's like top 1%. So, but he's very polite and stuff like that. He says like, "Hey, can you go mow the lawn?" Blah blah blah, and he's like, "Yep, no problem." He goes to mow the lawnmower is just not starting, and he gets a little upset. He gets pissed, and he chucks the lawnmower across the field. So so it's slowly building up what his powers are, and you can, we know the Superman story a little bit. So just basically a lot of what Superman can do, he eventually can do, except
Mhm.
he does not do a lot of it for the right reasons. So this movie I would, even though we're talking kind of superhero powers, I can almost consider this a horror movie. I, because
Wow.
there is scenes, they set this up perfectly, because like there's a scene, and me and you have watched a lot of movies, so you kind of get the feeling of what's going to happen. You're like, I'm watching this like, this bitch is going to die. That's all I know. I'm
Mhm.
like, I don't
Yeah.
know how. I don't know how, but this bitch is going to die. And you're just kind of waiting for the moment, like, okay, where's the shock reveal? And then they do something in the middle, which shocks you, gets you unsettled because it's not what you're thinking. And then they hit you with what's going to
Mhm.
happen. And because you're already unsettled, it makes you more unsettled. You know what I'm talking about? I don't want to
Yes, I do.
ruin this scene Because that mid scene, I was shocked and I had to look away. Now, I'm not talking like Terrifier level of shock, all right? I'm not going to say there is blood, but I'm not going to say there's that level of gore. But it was to the point where I was like, holy shit. But dude, it worked. And this movie does this so well, and you want to know what's going to happen because, again, now you're looking at this parent's perspective because they're like, well, this is our child. The whole thing, you kind of realize a little backstory, which they get, because he knows he's adopted. They told me he's adopted, but there's a line. Even the dad's like, the kid's never bled in his life. He's never bruised. So they give you what the story points you need when you need them. And yes, but then you look at it as a parent, like, you've loved this kid for 12 years. You want to help him. You're like, he's not evil, and you sense he's doing these bad things, and you're trying, because they don't know yet the extent of what he can do. But yeah, a lot, obviously, like movies, it falls apart. But Soto, I'm telling you right now, for basically what is a suspense horror movie, in a way, a backwards Marvel hero movie, this movie was freaking brilliant. This was so well done, and I'm pissed. I don't know if I'm pissed because there was James Gunn said here's the reason. James Gunn said when they were doing this, there's plans for a sequel, obviously. But then I look at it once I finished the movie, I was like, I don't need a sequel because I almost feel like James Gunn probably would have done it justice, but I almost feel like a sequel could ruin this. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like they don't give you really that much backstory or any backstory because you don't need it. We have our prejudgment and we know knowledge of what Superman is. So you go in that, you just kind of like those powers, so they don't need to explain anything. And I know I've joked about, give me explanation. This movie doesn't need any more explanation. If you know what Superman, how he came here and kind of his story, you almost reverse it, and there's very similarities, but they don't have to give us this overdone backstory. They just kind of get into it, and I think that's why it works. Elizabeth Banks is perfect for this, just as, the mother who can't have a kid, and this is basically her son. Yeah, this is, not as maybe as emotional as here, but yeah, I will tell you right now, Soto, this was a phenomenal film. I would actually watch this again. I am curious what would have happened in a sequel. I think James Gunn said there's something now wrong with copyrights and this and that. So he's like, odds are there'll never be a second. He's like, I don't foresee a second movie ever coming out, and I'm okay with that.
Is it based on a comic or
no? I think this is original. Because it's called Brightburn, not a real town in Kansas, but that's what the town is in Kansas. So it's the city, kind of like Smallville, with Superman, stuff like that. There's no Brightburn comic book based on the movie. It is, 2019. It was written original, and I was gonna say, I think this world needs more of these. Because we have these preconceptions of what these superheroes are. We know Superman, Iron Man, all those. Remember the movie Unbreakable? Like, if you go back. Of course. Now, let's take away the Split and the other sequels that came out 20 years later. I haven't seen them. Yeah. Glass and Split. But when
I'm not mad at them. I'm not mad at them.
But when Unbreakable came out, obviously it was M. Night Shyamalan's second movie. He had to follow up The Sixth Sense. And I think this is why the movie gets a little hate. So I think people were trying to, it was a different kind of twist, but it was an original story. But that's the thing. It was the creation of what a hero is, but at the same time, you get the twist of what the villain is in Unbreakable. But it was an original story. Yeah. We had no okay, this is going to go in this direction. Like we see Spider-Man, we're like, well, fuck it, Uncle Ben's going to die. Sometime. But you know what I mean? Superman, he came kryptonite. So we had to create something original and to create something entertaining. It's kind of hard in today's superhero market. And Brightburn, like I said, dude, I don't want to say too much. And I might have overhyped it for you. Whether you see it this year, I think you need to see this. This is freaking good. This is well done. And it was almost like not all out horror, but there's just times you're like unsettled and you're like, oh shit, what's going to happen? And obviously, because, spoiler alert, but they kind of said in the trailers, he does a lot of things because evil, just the way he is, or what he thinks he is. And so if you imagine if there was a truly dark man as a kid, and kids are fucking creepy in movies. Children in the Corn, I don't know. Kids are just creepy. Yes.
Naturally, yes,
naturally, and,
that freaks
I don't
me
know
out.
why it works. It just works. But yeah, um, but yeah. So I
Children.
honestly, I think you should see this, and that's why I don't want to say any more about
Oh,
how this ends, how this, more about how it goes. Um, I'm telling you right now, this is easily. I debated this yesterday, and I couldn't even move it up or down. This feels like a very good spot. I'm putting this at number five. I'm literally putting
oh,
this at my number five film right now, and
a bullet.
it is. And like it was just something I was not expecting.
Yeah,
Out of what this kind of movie
I'll
is.
find
Because again, I wasn't expecting. I don't know if it was going to be scary. Again, all I knew was I remember the tagline: "What if Superman came to the Earth and he turned out evil?" And that's all I need to know.
Is that literally the tagline? That
I
was
remember that from
how
the
it started?
trailers. I it was
I haven't seen the trailers. I
it
have
was
no idea
from
about this movie.
because again I forgot about this movie until I saw the picture again. So yeah, this movie kind of got lost in time, I guess, because again, movies nowadays, it's gonna be hard to stand the test of time. We joke like movies '80s and '90s, keep going. I don't know.
Mhm.
There's not many movies that come out in the last 10, 15 years, which I feel like in 10, 15 years from now, people are going to be like, oh, that is a classic. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I'm not saying
Mhm.
we're going to be talking about this in 5, 10 years as like one of the all time greats, but it is freaking good. And the fact that it's not getting a sequel maybe will hurt it because people are like, oh, one off, whatever. I don't want to see that movie, but I'm telling you right now, Soto, give it a shot. And, even because,
Okay.
we know we talk about the tropes, certain tropes and stuff like that, and you see it, and just the way they play, and I think that's why it works because they play with the tropes because we know things watching a shit ton of superhero movies in our lifetime, or horror movies as
Yep.
well, and we're like, all right, there's something, so like maybe something's gonna happen, and it will, but the way they get to it, you're like, oh shit, and I think that's why it works because, like I said, they do things to make you unsettled. So when they hit you with something, you're even more unsettled. I was just yeah. There's a couple times I was just like, oh, like those guys and like, damn, that would
Yeah.
have scared my wife. So yeah. So I honestly, whether or not you see it this year or go next year because I don't know if you want to do it as part of your 100. Um, I definitely, if I were you, I would suggest this movie. I won't suggest many that are on the top. I know you don't need to see Amelia Perez. You're not good with musicals. Foreign lyrics. Wicked. This and that. But Brightburn, I would definitely say if you get a chance to watch it, you should watch it. And maybe you're going to call me crazy, but you'll see why I think it's actually quite brilliant for what it is. So number five, that's
Cool.
where I'm putting it. So, oh,
Great recommendation. All right, Brightburn. Okay.
Brightburn.
Cool. I'll probably wait again because we're like so we want to get to like 200 unique movies. There's a bunch of movies now that I have in the docket where I'm like, all right, when I'm free to watch whatever I want, I'm gonna watch My Old Ass
Yes,
and
we'll have to make it.
Brightburn.
Brightburn. We'll have to look at each other's list and just be like, all right, see this, see this. I'm sure there's a few.
I want to
Um,
see Amelia Perez, that's for sure, because
oh,
like
you
I got to
do?
know what that's
Okay. Good luck.
so. Well, because I have to see it now. I mean, I
Yeah,
have to. If it ends up being your number one by the end of the year, it's like I kind of
I
have to
think it's.
see it
I
now.
honestly think that's gonna stay. It's really, basically on what I've been watching. I mean, you never know. You never know. But I said this about Amelia Perez. It was something I. It's something that was very original. Something I haven't seen. Plus, I mean, again, I have not watched very much foreign musicals. Um, I just, it just amazing. I was in for the ride. So, yeah, it was definitely different. But yeah, I would put Brightburn on the list. Definitely see My Old Ass. I think you'll enjoy it. It was
Miles.
fun. I love Aubrey Plaza. And obviously just you're doing shrooms and you're talking to your older self. So that's it.
I,
That's the
I feel like I've
premise.
been there.
You probably
Yeah,
have. I don't know.
I can relate to that shit. That sounds like something that I'd want to see. So, yeah, I'll definitely have to check. I mean, there's gonna be some movies we'll talk about that are like just all timers as far as what we've seen. So, I mean, I've seen your worst movie,
Well,
or at least the movie that was.
yeah, I got a few movies
So,
that were under the bed. That's a tongue twister. But Slaw is the first. And I'm sorry, I told you I would give you a pass. I know you said it, but I was willing to give you a pass on that because I did not, dude. I did not want to let you suffer. I knew you would. There's a reason that's the
I,
bottom movie on both of our lists. Whether or not, to me, it's just we know we're getting to Catnado. It's like, is Catnado going to be worse than Slaw? That's kind of where I'm at. I feel like it's going to go right there. I don't think it's going to be worse than Slaw. It might surprise us. Maybe.
I feel like Catnado would be better than at least Prisoners of the Ghostland.
We'll find
which I
out.
still consider to be one of the worst movies I've seen of all time.
So to your next movie, your second movie, you've seen a very recent
Yeah.
movie. We don't do a lot of 2025
Yeah.
movies, which is kind of nice. So why'd you choose this?
This is like this is like from this month, right? November?
I think so. I
Oh,
feel
look
like
at
this is
me.
very
Look at me
recent.
being so topical. So my next movie is the Guillermo del Toro version of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I don't know much about Frankenstein. To be 100% honest with you, never really been, because we made this joke, right, with the fucking Mount Rushmore. I think it was Mel that actually pointed this out, where she's like, well, technically, if you want to go back to like the OG icons, it's like Dracula, werewolf,
Frankenstein
and
moment. I
Frankenstein.
think I might have said that. I don't know if I said it first, but yeah, I we were talking about that. And yes, I'm like that's like OG, but you were correct. But yes,
Yeah,
I know a little.
yeah, because like
Obviously, I remember the book, and I think the Kenneth Branagh version, which was 93, 94. I remember seeing.
oh yeah, Robert De Niro was in that
Yeah,
shit.
I believe so. Yeah,
He's Frankenstein's monster. Yeah, no, so this is Guillermo del Toro's take on it, and yeah, look, 2 hours and 30 minutes.
oof.
Obviously, when I see that, I'm immediately like, oh my god. And I'm not going to go over the story of Frankenstein because I think that that's pretty much
People know it.
everybody knows that.
Yeah,
So it's kind of like going over the Superman thing, but talking about the style of it, I thought it was very well done. Um, a little bit, if you're not into the computer CG backgrounds that are in movies nowadays like this, where it's like you can clearly tell that that's not the sky, that kind of vibe, like where it's like the colors kind of just slightly off, it's a little bit probably green screen, that might turn you off, but the colors and the art design and the costume design were absolutely fantastic, and I really liked the art design for Frankenstein's monster himself. There was a really cool touch that was done where like in a certain light, like his right eye, you could see like a reflection behind the iris of like that was like kind of red, which kind of made it seem like he was like obviously made of broken dead body parts. So I thought that was really cool. That was really well done. I just thought the narrative structure sucked ass. And here's why. I don't know the story. Okay? I've never read the books. I'm not that cool. But like the story is told from Frankenstein's perspective, like Dr. Frankenstein's perspective to like an old sea captain in a boat. Okay? And then like so you see the whole story through Dr. Frankenstein's eyes, and you're like, okay, you go through this whole thing. There's this one prequel part. It's like part one. It's like the the perspective is like you as a moviegoer, right? You're seeing everything happen in real time. That's like
Mhm.
how the movie opens up for the first act. The second act, you see everything told in the backstory from Dr. Frankenstein, right? Talking about how he got there, talking about everything that led up to it, right?
Yes, that's
And
a
then
yeah.
the third part, like just when you think the movie is like done, then you see like then it's like part three, Frankenstein monsters perspective, and you're like, what the fuck? I just went through this whole entire fucking movie of backstory. Now I'm gonna go back in backstory, like, and now Frankenstein's monster is now telling his perspective to this fucking sea captain whose boat is stuck in the ice up, I don't know, Antarctica,
Yeah,
North Pole, I think.
something like that.
Whoever said it. All right, so they're stuck there, but it's like so weird because Frankenstein's monster is like coming for what you think is vengeance on Dr. Frankenstein. And before he like takes vengeance out on him, he's like, all right, I'm here. Before I get into this, first let me tell you how I got here. And I'm like, this movie's already fucking long. What the fuck? And so you see it from his perspective, and it's fine. I don't have a problem with it. It's well done. It's beautiful to look at, but I'm like, my God, like, how much longer does this movie have to go? And it ended fine. It had a resolution to it, and I guess I was happy with it. But, it just was so fucking long, man. So fucking long. But again, very well done. But I guess who's going to tell Guillermo del Toro no, right?
Yeah, that's
Like
true.
when he's doing a movie, like at this point, like, and he wants it to be bombastic and his take on it and whatever. It's like, and if you know his style, like, this is pretty much his style. Like, you could close your eyes and picture what this movie would be about. So, I mean, it wasn't bad. It was perfectly watchable. Again, it's just long. Just that's all it was. Very long for my taste.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Cause yeah, because
Some
again,
movies you're like, this is long, but it doesn't feel long. But this felt long.
because again, it's been a long time since I've you know thought of anything Frankenstein movie, book, whatever. Yeah, I know. Like you said, that sounded like it's like vaguely. I don't remember it ever being from the monster's point of view. But maybe I just missed something or just forgot. Um, so who knows? So, but yeah, I mean, 2.5 hours. But then again, I feel like a lot of the Frankenstein movies lately, not lately, but since like the old school ones, because even the '94 film, I feel like was long as shit. Oh no, not as long. 123 minutes. Just kind of scrolling, figuring that out. So, but I'm surprised. Like I know you joke about long movies, and even now, like if when I'm scrolling, if I hits over two, like there's become movies like I kind of want to see them like 2.5 hours. I don't got time for that. Hour and a half or hour 45. Like barely. I say that, but wait till I get to my last movie. We're going to talk about this in a second. But anyhow, Soto. Yeah, it was long. You got bored. This is not sounding
It
good
was
for the
long.
ranking of Frankenstein. But that almost rhymed. So where we? What are you thinking?
I mean, I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was bad by any stretch of the imagination. Um, it was just long, but it was very well done. Obviously, he's such an amazing director, and he's so visionary and everything, and it was visually incredibly appealing. And there were parts that I'm like, yeah, and there was incredible violence in this too. Like I'm talking about, like Frankenstein is fighting, or Frankenstein's monster is fighting wolves, and he's like ripping their faces off and shit like
Damn.
that, which was kind of cool. And then there was like unexpected violence too, where some guy was trying to shoot him, and he just grabs this guy's jaw and just rips it off. And you see it all. So it's like explicit violence, which is kind of cool, like in movies. Um, so where do I put it? I liked it more than Nosferatu, that's for sure. So it's kind of above that.
And
Question
that's
it. So
for
that's the kind of
36.
range that
Okay.
I'm thinking. Because Nosferatu is kind of strange. Another vampire movie. I would say that I'm comfortable putting this at 35, just above Tenet, because I didn't understand Tenet. I still don't. Um, but I put it right below Demon Slayer. Yeah, so it'll be at 35. Frankenstein.
Frankenstein. Oh. Okay.
2025. Yeah, look. I recommend it if you have time and if you're into Guillermo and if you're into Frankenstein. And Mia Goth is insanely attractive to me, so she was great. But again, super long.
Well, Soto, let me tell you how I got to my last movie. Now, it's funny that you talk about long ass movies because this was actually a 2.5 hour movie.
God,
Well, here's what happened. So let me, before I even get to it, because not gonna say you're gonna yell at me. You're gonna say why. Well, first of all, so yesterday, because we're gonna do our podcast, I had a little time, and I was like, God, I had nothing else going on. And I'm like, let me just start a movie. Let me find a movie. And it took me a while to find a movie, and I saw this, and I saw the time length, and I'm like, I really don't want to do this, but a part of me, I got to the part where I was curious about this movie. And I saw it was 2.5 hours. I'm like, I'm gonna watch half of it now, or an hour and a half now, and then I literally watched the last hour earlier today before we got on. So this is
wow.
how fresh in my mind is. So yeah, 2.5 hour movie, but I did break it up into two parts. And I didn't know if I was going to do it for this podcast or not, but I'm like, we're here. We're going to do this. So
Fuck it.
as we've talked about, or as I talked about with a lot of the movies I've seen, there's movies, obviously I watched which Tubi originals. And I'm like, no, I was done with that. I wanted to actually watch kind of, I don't want to say blockbusters, but more Hollywood, esque kind of films and stuff like that. I don't want to go to not until Catnado. I am not touching a bad movie like that until we do Catnado. But anyhow, there's a lot of movies that, like they've made a late sequel. I saw the Jay and Silent Bob reboot. I saw Bill and Ted Face the Music. I feel like there's a
Late
few other,
sequel.
what I'm talking about? Just like 20, 30 years later, Teenage Mutant Ninja, just a lot of these movies, which I've joked, Beetlejuice was another one. I'm like, God, these movies are ruining my childhood, memories and stuff like that. Not really, but that was kind of the joke. And so I've heard, and obviously rightfully so, that this movie was bad and it should never have been made because the fourth movie never should have been made. But I had to fucking know. Because there's a trilogy we love from our childhood and our teen years. And then they made another one. And we're like, why? And they made a fifth one. And this was like, why? And I know I'm kind of stretching this out because I'm not going to really talk too much about this. But Soto, I saw Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Oh no!
That's what I wanted right there.
Oh no! I'm so. I'm sorry.
Because I was curious. I've heard because I had no interest. So 2008, 2009, they did what? Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Now, first of all,
with Shia
LaBeouf. And
the
who ended up playing the Monkeys. Well, I'm going to get to something not similar, but similar. First of all, obviously, I don't need to go over the original trilogy. What is the true trilogy of the Indiana Jones? All those movies are great. We've talked about it countless times, different podcasts, stuff like that. But Indiana Jones has, stood the test of time. And yes, then came Kingdom Crystal Skull, and they're what? Not aliens, they were intergalactic beings. Because George Lucas couldn't call them aliens, and Steven, whatever. And you're right, Shia LaBeouf. I was happy that Marion returned. I loved her in Raiders of the Lost Ark. They always had good chemistry out of all his love interests. So her coming back was kind of probably the highlight of what Crystal Skull was. And I'm like, well, we watched it because we're like we kind of knew that, because
Spielberg directed it too.
And we knew it was probably going to be shit. And we were like, well, they probably got Shia LaBeouf to be like the new Indy, and they're going to try this. And yeah, all our hearts are broken. If you need to watch the South Park episode about this, I'm not going to go into it, but it was freaking hilarious. One of the best South Park episodes I've seen. Oh my God. If you can find it, find it. I mean, the way they say it's hilarious. But anyhow, so I'm like, I gotta check. So Dial of Destiny, now first of all, starts off back in World War II. Dial of Destiny. Oh, just wait, Soto, till I get into this. Chad, no. So hold on. So first of all, this starts near the end of World War II. Now you're thinking, wow, Harrison Ford. Because remember the original trilogy. What that around that era, I'm like, well, he's old now. Oh my God, Soto.
Was the Nazis?
Yes, the Nazis and all that. But he, obviously Harrison Ford can't play a younger Indiana Jones. But yes, they de-aged him. They did the de-aging.
Of course.
It did not feel right. It didn't. I'm not gonna lie. But basically, kind of like all Indiana Jones movies, it starts with whatever kind of crazy adventure. He's about to get hung. Obviously, any of them starts with something way over the top. It's meant to be over the top, but it's meant to get you into it. Obviously, since Crystal Skull, everyone remembers the nuclear blast refrigerator scene. It's like, we don't need to do this again. So yeah, the de-aging kind of took me, but I'm like, okay. But the whole idea was to set up what the movie is about, because him and his friend come across half the Dial of Destiny. And I'm going to get to what this is, Soto, because I'm going to kind of spoil a lot of this movie for you, because I know you don't give a fuck. This isn't like Brightburn where I'm telling you to see it. You don't need to see this. So anyhow, they flash forward, they end 2.5 hours. Yeah, no, you won't. You can do it for Frankenstein. I don't know. Maybe you could sit through this easier than Frankenstein, but that's beside the point. So anyhow, yes, they jump forward 20 years. Now they're kind of in the 60s, 64, or actually I think 69. Technically, because they're talking about the moon landing. It was kind of a quick thing. They never gave these. Yeah, so it had been late 60s. Obviously, now we're at least at I say present day, but old man Harrison Ford, old man Indiana Jones. I'm like, okay, I'm okay with this. And he's a grumpy old man. People are playing music. They're playing like the Beatles very loudly downstairs at 8 a.m. And I'm like, oh, this is the grumpy old guy that I kind of like. We talk about being. First of all, here's the first time I really got happy with this movie. Just hearing the music. That theme that you hear in your head. Yeah. I heard when they played that, and obviously before I was like, I was happy because you just hear that music. It doesn't matter where you're happy. It's just like Star Wars music. These movies and are nostalgic. You're like, I'm like, so that was probably the last time I smiled till the end of the film. And so
wow.
And I will tell you why I smiled because I was actually. We will talk emotion, but now let me just tell you about the Dial of Destiny. I don't even want to tell you about the whole movie. I don't even want to tell you about the new short round guy that, blah, 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 who's not short round. No, not short round, but they have a new 12-year-old kid, but he wears a straw hat, and all I could think about was Luffy. I'm not joking. I looked at him like, oh my God, he could have been a young... Anyhow, so Soto. So we talked about Crystal Skull, and it was galactic beings, right? We're like, God, what the fuck is this? And I know some of Indiana Jones, Cup of Christ, and the Ark. Yeah, there's a little unbelievable, but you know what? I don't want to say realism, but you're just kind of okay with those adventures. And then it just got crazy. Yeah. We're like, what is the fuck? Intergalactic beings, and what the fuck is this? Oh, Soto, can I tell you? It gets worse. Now, the Dial of Destiny, because this guy, it will. What's this guy's name? Mads Mikkelsen. You should know that. Yes, he's brilliant. He's obviously in the flashback and Nazi time because he's like Indy. He's the German, not architect. Archaeologist. I know. Thank you. I was, and so there's a lot of similarities. They both want the same thing, but obviously on opposite sides. And they're on a train, and he just gets smashed into the sign, flung off the train, and now we're in like the late 60s, and he's back, and you kind of like, what the fuck's going on? Because he doesn't look much older. So anyhow, Soto, the Dial of Destiny. I'm not going to go through all the adventures. Just basically this. They go here. They're looking for this. The clue's here. Oh, this kid. God, anything we've come to know and hated.
Yeah.
So, before I get to... Oh, and you mentioned monkeys. They got eels. Yeah. They have but you remember that monkey scene? Put in eels, and you're just like, what the fuck's going on? Why? He's like, they're water snakes. And, the monkey scene was cringe. This was even just as cringe. Maybe they weren't swinging in the branches of monkeys, but he was fighting off freaking eels who were trying to bite him down. So now I got that out of the way. Because I'm like, this had their monkey scene. So Dial of Destiny, if you get both parts and you put it together, you open up a portal, and dude, you can travel in time. I am not fucking kidding you. Indiana Jones became a time traveler.
I love it.
No,
I love it.
It takes because it doesn't have because obviously it's at the end, and he ends because Mads Mikkelsen, he puts it together, he gets it, and he's basically what he's trying to do is go back to like 1930 something. And prevent Hitler from, just kind of advising Hitler how to win the war. So like that's why somehow he went back in time with, I don't even know, with the train. But anyhow, Indiana Jones is like, wait, you did not, adjust for this calculate. You're going to have the right area or this. You don't know what time, this and that. And he realizes Indy is right. And he's trying to tell him to turn around, but they're getting sucked in. So they end up in like 285 BC. At I don't even know what the war is. I'm sorry, I'm not that much of a history buff.
What?
And yeah, and Indiana Jones comes across like a big philosopher there who knows the guy who put together the dial at first to get help for this war. And Indy comes and, he's like, because he has this now, I don't want to say woman companion because it's not that kind of relationship, but it was like his friend's daughter, his goddaughter, is part of this. And she's trying, 214 BC, the siege of Syracuse. That's kind of where they arrive. And so this guy wanted help for the war, and he used the Dial of Destiny, and Indiana Jones came with just her, because obviously they fought off the Germans. And Indiana Jones wants to stay in time. He wants to make things right. He wants to live in this world. And she basically knocks him out and drags him back to 1969. But yes, Soto, Indiana Jones has officially become a time traveler.
Where else can
Now,
you go? Yeah.
no, you shouldn't. No, no, you shouldn't have gone. There should never have been intergalactic beings. There never should have been time travel. This is fucking Indiana Jones. Now, I will say this: the end. Reason why I say I was happy, and I'm not joking about the credits. Marion comes back. Now, I will give you the best part of the movie. We talked about Shia LaBeouf. The backstory is, he's telling people, like, well, what would you do? And this and that. If you could go back in time, he's like, I would stop my son from enlisting. And they're like, well, did he want to serve his country? He's like, yeah, but he's like, yeah, he enlisted and then he died in the war, which broke his mother's heart and basically broke their marriage. So they killed off Shia LaBeouf. So you see right there. All right, I lied. I heard that. I smiled. I'm like, all right, good. They got rid of the shitty character. So I did smile. Fuck Shia. So yes, they killed him off, but at the end of this movie, it's the first time, because obviously Indy came back, he did get shot, anyhow he's arrested, and Marion comes back to this place, and it's the first time she's appeared in this movie, and the first time they've been together in years, and they kind of, they're talking things out, and if you remember Raiders of the Lost Ark, and he's like, where does it hurt, and he points to like his elbow, and she kisses, and they reenact that scene kind of backwards, and I'm like, I love this. Dude, that moment between them, I'm not saying made the whole movie, was probably the best part of the movie to me. Like that was like, this is how this couple should end. That at least now, hopefully it's over. Please do not make a sixth Indiana Jones. I hope so. There's no kids. There's no lineage. Just don't even reboot this. Don't do anything with it. Just let's remember for the trilogy. No. But yeah, I will say I don't want to say I got emotional with the Marion scene, but it was such a touching scene. That I honestly was happy. I was just happy to see them together, and that callback, and just I don't know why I'm like it felt like a good end for Indy, because it's basically his one love. So I will admit that made me smile. I mean, I was so this movie had whatever this typical action scenes, but there's not much to say. So now really is where am I gonna rank this? Hold on. I gotta pull up I kind of was accidentally got away from it.
Was it directed by Spielberg too?
You know what? I honestly don't know. I didn't look. I was more shocked that I kind of started this. Hold on, I'm gonna see. Directed by James Mangold.
Oh, okay.
Produced. Yep. It wasn't even produced by Spielberg. Music by John Williams. Like I said, that's why I was happy. All right. So where am I putting this? Oh.
Number 2.
No. I think you would have to question my sanity if I put this in the top half of my movies. All right. This feels like a bad spot where it belongs because again, it's not the worst. I'm not gonna say it's the bottom 10. I mean, it did have some indie moments. Made me sad. Oh God, I can't put it below this because I was more. All right, so as of right now, I'm putting this at number 77. This is where it's going. Right above Muppets Haunted Mansion. I'm like, I can't. Yeah, but look what's near it. Jay and Silent Bob, Dumb and Dumber 2, which I forgot. Beetlejuice Beetlejuice if you're going up. Like that. Yeah. That should tell you this is the area of disappointment. Really,
that's area. It really is.
Again, because like I said, I mean, there was some part. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say it's all crap, but it was just you get a couple the fight scenes and this and that, and you remember. But overall, it's not sustainable. And like I said, I mean, I can't. I don't think I can put it higher. This could drop, but right now this just kind of feels like a good spot for it because I just remember how much I was disappointed in Muppets on. But I just feel like Muppets, Minecraft. Like I would rather watch this than Minecraft movie. I'm sorry. Whatever. I chicken jockey and shit like that. No, fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. I can't do Minecraft movie again. I can't. So yeah, 77. But yeah, I went with Dial of Destiny. I had to know. But yes, I broke it up in 2 days, which is funny because like here I am like I can't do a 2.5 hour movie, but here I did it 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it was like 2 episodes.
Yeah,
2 episodes of Indiana Jones. That's what you watched.
I had to break it up. Yeah, because I think it was like I said, hour and a half yesterday, and the last hour.
2.5 hours, dude. 2.5 hours is fucking diabolical, dude.
For a movie that went
like
nowhere.
For Indiana Jones. Oh. Come on, dude. Like especially with we'll always have the trilogy, right?
Correct.
Raiders, Temple of Doom, fucking Last Crusade, and Last Crusade ends on a perfect shot.
Correct. They did
So
not
as far
even
as I'm concerned,
there was nothing more they needed added. They did not have to go back to the story.
nope, nope. That's to me. I'm gonna choose. That's where it ends.
Yeah, and that, like I said, and I'm kind of looking this up. Just Last Crusade is the only one I haven't looked up, but give me a second here. All right, first two movies are just a tad under 2 hours, hour 55 hour. Last Crusade went above 2 hours, just a little, 2 hours 7 minutes. So like you know, but it was entertaining. It kept us entertained. It
Yes,
had a great supporting
whole time.
cast. Sean Connery is just fucking brilliant in that. Dr. Jones and oh my god, yes, I almost want to rewatch the trilogy again when this is all over. But yes,
Mm-hmm.
you can put. I will say this. I feel just because I don't remember it, but maybe that's for my own benefit. I feel like Dial of Destiny was better than Crystal Skull, but that's like saying a new shit is better than old shit. So it's still shit. And I know I stole that
No
quote from someone. I don't know where I heard that quote, so I'm not going to say I came up with that, but that's how I feel right now. So I don't remember. Like you said, you mentioned Shia LaBeouf and the Swinging Monkeys. That's all I remember of
Yes.
Crystal. Oh yeah, and the end scene, Intergalactic Beings. That's all I remember. That's all I care to remember. I don't even want to remember that, but that's what remembers. This, I just will remember him and Marion. It's just old couple having a moment. You know, they're like, "This is our lives." You know, blah blah blah, and I was fine with it. That made me smile. That made me happy. Again, there's that moment. So, oh, so
Nice.
yeah. So no more Indiana Jones. Don't ruin our childhood. Don't ruin nostalgia. There's a reason these movies have been in the vault for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't bring them back. So that's
Agreed.
episode 40. That's it for today.
40.
We have hit 188 movies. We have 12 more to go.
More.
Now,
Oh,
I
we
know
got
you're
this.
watching Cube this week. You know, at least I think that was
Yes.
on your plan list. Do you have any other planned
Yeah.
movies, or it's just a we'll wait and see kind of thing? Anything else on your radar?
I don't know. Cube is definitely my radar, but I'll kind of I'll let the universe kind of guide me where I'm supposed to go. Usually I do lean towards horror. I don't care what time of the year it is, so we'll see. But definitely, like, I can see the finish line now. So
Oh yeah, we are so close. It's 12 more. That's kind of like almost six each. You know, with one extra there. So we'll figure it out, but we're gonna get there. Like I said, I think it's 3 more weeks, Soto.
thanks.
Three. Well,
Yes.
Thanksgiving might screw us up a little bit. At least our times, you know, maybe my time schedule watching movies. So we're gonna have to wait and see. But who knows?
Yeah.
And we'll find time. So yep, that will do it for the 200 movie challenge, episode 40. We're almost there. I would say suggest a movie, but no one listens, and we're almost done anyway. So we probably wouldn't watch that shit anyways.
Too late,
Fuck all of
guys.
you.
Too late.
So just go watch some good movies. Just go watch movies.
Yeah, just hit play. Yeah, go fuck yourself. Hit play.